Welcome back to round 8 of Endurance for Amateurs. We're joined by Zach Purcell in the great state of Ohio at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. And coming up is a wonderful 100 minutes of racing. How you doing tonight, Zach?
I'm doing great. It's a great course. I will debate you on Ohio being great, but the course is great. I'll give you that.
Yes, it is quite a wonderful course. It's really a roller coaster in my opinion, the way that it drives, and I'm excited to watch some racing here.
Yeah, it's a really difficult one, and you know, any of the tire issues we kind of saw last week, I feel like may be even more amplified for this race.
Yeah, Bathurst is hard on the tires, but Mid-Ohio is just a whole different ball game with just how hard the tires are working through every corner on here. So I'm interested to see the strategy come into play later on.
I do have insider information from the drivers that there's some that are planning on taking one tire during one of their first couple stops. So some of them are actually anticipating it already, that they're going to have to make a little tire swap to be able to survive the rest of the race.
Yeah, we did hear about that in Discord. Rumor has it there will be strategy involved in this race. So stick around. We'll try to keep track of that as best we can. And we're going to see about 17 more minutes of qualifying before we get going on that.
Yeah, this is one where it's certainly the front left that's going to take a real beating going through the S's and Thunder Valley. It's just, there's so many like fast turns, especially ones that go over a crest, so you're really scrubbing the tire across it. It'll be difficult to deal with, and I think any sort of grip we see from the drivers early on, you know, they're going to be wishing that they had that late in the race when those turns start to get a lot more scary.
Yeah, for sure. Now let's see, we're going to take a look and ride on board with, let's see, how about Mr. Ryan Glover, as he is coming through the final turns right now. Walk us through a lap, Zach.
Yeah, so he's coming down to turn one here. He's going to do like a little stab of the brakes around like 100. And you really got to use all the track here. It does go out a good amount wide, and you can use that without spinning out. Coming up to the keyhole here, you're going to brake as late as you possibly can in a totally straight line, around like 150, and you're just going to hug the inside. You don't want to go out too wide here.
Commentator's curse.
Commentator's curse.
Not
that was a
to
decent
worry.
save there.
Here's newbie.
Coming around the keyhole. It's a really, really long turn, and it ends up into the longest straight on the track. So you got to make sure to keep as much speed through it as possible, because you're going to lose a lot of time otherwise. Turn 7 is super slow. The sand trap past it is actually called China Beach. It's so commonly visited by these cars that it has a name. And it's really easy with that crest to end up losing it over into that trap. Now you're going to be coming through the S's really fast, no braking points. Honestly, these drivers are going to be just following that dark line on the track. This turn is really important here. You got to get it slowed down while moving to the left. And you're going to come around into Thunder Valley. Awesome name for a section of the track. It's super fast, and the track is not like super wide, so it takes a lot of bravery. You're going to hug the outside here, and you don't have to go all the way outside for this turn. And the key is that you want to try to get the car turned as much as you can to just straight line this last corner and come across the finish line. There's really, other than that like back stretch, that whole second half of the lap, the drivers do not have a break.
No, they really don't. That's what's going to tie into the strategy. The tires are always being worked on this track. Now, just to give you an idea of how crowded it is tonight and how close together everybody is, we're going to take a look at the blimp and the chopper view here. See if we can take a look towards the start-finish straight in turn 1. Cars everywhere.
About a 2-mile course, certainly shorter than the last couple we've done.
Yeah, it is definitely shorter compared to Spa and, of course, Bathurst as well. Now, take a look at the track map as well up top, and that'll give you a great idea of how close everybody is right now.
Yeah, these drivers have been definitely getting in each other's way a lot during this qualifying session. Just been interesting following, the story. So I mean, Paul Boyle has been for GTD Pro. He's been up there early. He was actually leading for a good portion of the start of this session before Paletti took that by 3 or 4 thousandths, and then Terry Kiger Jr. has now inherited that lead as of a few minutes ago. And then GTD AM Keith Roycroft started out setting the fastest lap and has remained the fastest driver right now. Interesting thing though, looking at some differences between practice and qualifying times. So in practice, the top 3 for GTD Pro were Will Borland, Marcus Osborne, Nicholas Paletti. Borland's in 5th, Osborne's in 7th, and Paletti is up in 2nd, but the times are way off of their practice times. So I have to imagine the track's heating up because, like, Marcus Osborne, for example, his best qualifying time is 0.6 slower than his practice time.
Yeah, that track, again, I keep coming back to it, but the track temperature is really going to play into the tires tonight. So we're definitely going to have to keep an eye on the tire strategy and fuel strategy.
For sure, and this long qualifying session does a lot to help these drivers get some data, do these long runs, and really see how much the tires are really wearing off. So it's really useful to have that when it's the exact session that you're going to be racing in.
Yeah, always want to get that data. This man right here, Paul Boyle, I know he loves data. Him and the Doge Squad boys. Always analyzing what's the best car for the day, what's the best strategy, everything.
Yeah, I mean, certainly it's working out for Paletti and Boyle up there right now. So maybe their studying is paying off currently.
Yeah, and hopefully they can carry that over into the race.
Yeah, and an interesting thing we've seen in a lot of races too is that we've seen qualifying pace and race pace differ quite a lot through the drivers and through the cars, and it's not just drivers who qualified well and then like crashed. Like the cars and the drivers really do have different strengths between the qualifying session and the race sessions.
Yeah, there is definitely someone who can put in that fast time and then go 2, 4, 5 tenths slower each lap in the race. And then there's some people that can't qualify fast, but they can pound out those consistent lap times every time they go by that start-finish time. Yeah, straight. So, I mean, I think we've seen it before. Who do you think is going to be the highest climber just based off consistency?
Well, I mean, I do have to say that we have seen tire issues from the BMW in some previous races. While they have typically put in really good qualifying times, we actually don't have any in the top 3 currently. So my initial pick, if the BMW doesn't end up being an issue or being a problem, then I think Marcus Osborne, currently being in 7th, and like I said, having had close to the fastest time in practice, was only behind Will Borland. I would have to imagine that he's able to make up some more spots than that with just how much he's off his practice time.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there. I mean, in Bathurst, he was, I think, 7th in qualifying as well, and he came up to 2nd and was only beaten by Terry Kiger Jr., who absolutely dominated the race. He's a proven champion, proven race winner. He knows how to drive. So we could see a great performance for him. Now, down in GTD AM, I think I say this almost every time, even though he's down in 12th. That'd be Mark Dillon Jr. is my high riser for the day.
Yeah, I think I would definitely point out James Foreman as a driver to watch, just because he's always one of the cleanest drivers, rarely ever wrecks, rarely even has many incidents at all. And this is just a tough track, and it's one that can be pretty dangerous. We've seen tons of spins during this practice and this qualifying session already from all these drivers. There's really not many safe places on this track. So if you're a driver, and to boot, he's in the Ferrari, which we've seen as a pretty safe car. So, I mean, I think that he's set up pretty well for making up some positions in the race.
I'll agree with you there. I guess we'll find out in about 8 minutes time when qualifying ends and the gridding procedure starts. Now, how about the pit lane here? It's a really almost not weird but awkward pit lane. The way that it's curvy there.
Yeah, I mean a lot of the drivers that I've seen try to enter pit lane have made a spin. You have to, at the very least, it's not going to cause too many issues. I don't think between drivers. You just like drive straight offline, but it's one that the drivers who have practiced it the most will find a lot of benefit in, because the entry, you can definitely maximize your benefit on it. The exit, though, the exit's pretty interesting because it just feeds you straight out into the track, and depending on if a driver's coming through turn one, the cars can get pretty close. There luckily is a curb like separating the lane, but the drivers could end up right next to each other. You can see right here, they look extremely close even on the track.
Yeah, now we do have a special view tonight that we can check back in on later as well. We had Steven Shepard last week with his fixed camera, and Will Borland has streamed his VR view for us here tonight. Now, we talked about what it looks like fixed. This is what it looks like to drive in VR in iRacing. A little bit different, you'll notice, than what we saw with Borland, or Shepard.
Yeah, there's a non-zero benefit to, like a non-negligible benefit to having VR. Just the ability to like actually look around and see the cars around you, look at the mirrors. It's if a driver has it, it's a really big benefit. Some people, it's a little bit too annoying to get set up, and sometimes there's glitches, but it can be really helpful.
Yeah, it can really, I mean, I improved almost minutes, hours after I got VR. And I used it for the spot 24 hours, even though it did cause a problem for one of our teammates there. But it's night and day, the difference in how you feel driving that car compared to a fixed screen.
Yeah, it feels a lot more real, that's for sure. You can get a little more spooked.
Now that's a danger zone right there, as we see
Two.
Jeff McDonald and Marcus Osborne both going off track, and Matthias Ackrich kind of grazing the dirt as well.
I have some good news about Jeff McDonald, by the way. The grid is off of his paint. His livery no longer has the paint grid still on it. It is as it should be, so it looks even better.
Salvation. How many weeks was that? Maybe 4 now?
That was, yeah, like I think since his first race, which I think was long, so yeah, 4 or 5, yeah. But it looks great now.
Yes, I do really like those colors he's got on there. Speaking of colors, who is it that we were talking about? I believe Will Borland.
Changed a little bit.
He comes out of the pits. From his red paint, he's now got that nice blue and silver and black
polka dot, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Very nice looking.
Yeah, he changed it up a little bit, so I'll have to mentally reset, try to remember which one we're looking at, but it is a good look.
Yeah, you really don't appreciate how much the liveries help with calling a race.
Yeah.
After we did a few practice races before starting up the broadcast back in August or whenever it was, and hopping into a random official session, it's so difficult to name the drivers just by seeing the car. So we really appreciate all the different liveries and knowing who everybody is.
Yeah, it's fun. Everyone, has their own flair too, and some of these people are like so intrinsically tied to the, we've mentioned it before. Terry with the white, black, and neon green, like that's what he's had for like forever. Paul Skip always does the John Player. Marcus has his BMW USPS, multiple USPS liveries that he's always run. So It's just ones that you associate with a driver after them using it so long.
Yeah, and it really helps us. Now, what is your favorite livery out there tonight? Do you have a favorite?
Oh, my favorite. I don't know if I've chosen a favorite. I mean, obviously, a lot of them are people using, real life ones, which look great. I would say I don't want to just pick one favorite, but one I do want to say that looks great is Richard Curry's Liquid Moly BMW. It's the perfect shades of red and blue with the white. It's just really good looking.
Yeah, I really like that one. I believe that's an actual car, is it not? If that's
Yeah, it is.
it's an IMSA, I think. Or no, never mind. But reminds me of the WeatherTech one as well. And then Patrick Ripley has his iconic Audi 90s livery. My favorite, I don't know.
Are you gonna say William Alcala? What you're gonna say?
I am not. He's returning after a few race hiatus.
Content warning for YouTube potentially.
Possibly, I don't know. Let's hope not. I do like Nick Terrell's Spaceball livery because I love that movie. I haven't seen it in forever, but
Yeah, it's good to have a good mix of colors. We got pretty much everything represented, I think, on the color wheel.
oh yeah, for sure. Along with Mr. Adrian's Spain colors here as well.
Aaron Claybaugh's another one that's just a very good. It's just like the Chick-fil-A thing's kind of fun on its own, but yeah, the lines are just really good on that livery. I don't know if he made that one himself or not, but it looks very good.
Yeah, I'm sure my sister will appreciate that one. She's a big Chick-fil-A fan, but I believe he made it himself because he has a whole fleet of Chick-fil-A cars. He has
it's really good. It's a good pattern on it.
Ferrari F4, pretty much all the GT3s really.
Yep, late in this session, again, like I kind of hypothesized before, I'll reiterate, it must be really rising temperatures because no one's improved their times in the last 15 minutes, really.
Not really, but when we did take a look at Claybaugh, I think he set a purple sector 1 for a brief moment.
I have seen a couple purples. I don't think all the full laps are coming together for any of these drivers, and we have now reached the end of the session.
So we'll take a look at the gridding procedures in just a moment. I just want to pull up Aaron Claybaugh's fleet of cars here real quick because I love them. He's got the BMW, he's got the Ferrari, looks like the McLaren, the Merc, the Porsche, and he later added the F4. Just a wonderful fleet of cars on brand there.
Yeah, we've been looking at a lot of yellow down there, that's for sure.
Yes, we have. Now, Nick Terrell, he's a legend. We talked about him before, along with Dennis Diaz. They are not scored for any points in this race. So it's going to be interesting to see how they come into play with the other drivers. And also, Nick Terrell almost 3 seconds off of the pole time. That's unlike him.
Yeah, I'm a little. He literally has the second slowest time. I have to what because if you remember last week he started from the pits to just make his way up through the field. I have to wonder if he's planning on doing the same thing again or not.
He may be. That does sound like something he would do.
The drivers just finishing up their laps now, Nick Terrell included there. Pretty short lap, minute 20 in a GT3. I mean, that's a pretty quick little one. There's no really hard braking points. Makes it a little tough on drivers to make an overtake, but it can still be done.
It definitely can be. Now, I have never raced here. I'm not sure if you have, but
I have, yes.
it's just a really, really nice track to drive.
Yeah, it's one that the middle part is pretty scary. Actually, the first race I did on this track was with the Lotus 49s, and that really was a roller coaster ride.
Oh yeah, I bet. Now, let's take a look at our grid. Terry Calgar Jr. puts it on pole, and he'll look to take another win after his win last week. Nicholas Piletti takes second, followed by Paul Boyle, Tyler Langenberg, Will Borland, Paul Skip, Marcus Osborne, Patrick Ripley, Keith Roycroft, John Kelly, Matthias Ackrich, and Don McCloy.
Following them, we have Aaron Claybaugh, Christopher Newby, Richard Curry, Jeff McDonald, James Foreman, Michael Delasala, Andrew Neri, Adrian Garcia Vigil, Ryan Glover, Donovan Johnston, Christopher Craig, and Mark Dillon Jr.
Alrighty. And following them, Zach Nurnberger, Gareth McAllister in that Ford, Steven Shepard, Daniel Real, Forrest Sleek, that's a new name, Daniel Hingley, Dave Ferrara, Daniel Barnett, William Alcala, Nick Terrell, Miguel McNamara, that's a new name as well, and Atticus Middleton will round out the field. That is a big field of cars, 36 cars here tonight.
Yeah, it's huge. Is this maybe the biggest since Daytona, or maybe it's even bigger than Daytona? I don't remember the exact numbers. It's close though.
Yeah, I believe we had like 33 or 34 at Daytona, so definitely up there in numbers. Now, Atticus Middleton did not set a qualifying time, so will he be racing is a great question. It may only be 35.
He's in the session, so I would assume so.
All right, so this is our overview of the weekend. The race here in Lexington, Ohio. It's a 2.2 mile track. The temperature, wow, that is hot for E4A, 104 degrees.
Wow.
And
That's Terry Calgary with his second pole now, and that's actually Keith Roycroft's third pole of the season.
impressive. I kind of glanced over that, but Keith Roycroft on pole again. He's looking to finally get that win that he
he's
wants
running
so
12 of the
badly.
points. Yeah.
We've seen him have really good races and have that chance a few times, so hopefully he can turn that into a win tonight. Time will tell, though, as Terry Carr. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just mentioning real quick that the no passing rule it's just turn one, so the drivers can race each other into the keyhole.
All right, well, there they go. Terry Carr Jr. leads them away into turn one. He's blinking in typical Terry fashion. So we'll take a look at Nick Piletti instead. The no passing rule has expired now, and they are free to race each other down the straight. Yeah, there he is. Down the inside goes Will Borland on Tyler Langenberg. The move is done.
Pretty textbook, yep.
Now it looks like we had about 3 or 4 people start from the pits tonight. A decent amount.
See if any other drivers decide to make a move.
That is Delasala on Vahil going down that long, curvy straight.
Definitely want to be on the inside here, that's for sure. Yeah, that's Vahil making the move. Delasala kind of just lets him through there. Just don't want to lose another position.
Smart racing from Delasala, trying not to lose time there. Now there are cars all over the field here. This is James Foreman. Almost looking to make a move on that new driver, Miguel. Doesn't make it happen, though. Ooh. Rather tight going into the final section of the track is Marcus Osborne, Paul Skip. Wow.
Ooh, that was close.
Yeah, and Patrick Ripley is right behind him now to see if he can make something happen.
Yeah, that turn gives a little bit of the vortex of danger. It makes it look like there's a gap when there's not.
Wow, I have not seen Daniel Barnett's car in a long time, but I really do love that one as well.
Yeah, very distinct painted wheels.
Yes, he does. Very shiny, but it really ties the whole car together.
Wow, that was a pretty aggressive first lap that we saw across the field.
I'd say so.
Let's see if we keep seeing some more moves. I would imagine this is a tough track to pass, but the drivers have already made a few.
Yeah, they are not wasting any time here tonight.
Yeah, this whole group up front is very close. But Terry definitely has pulled a little bit of a gap. He's certainly safe from Paletti behind. So he certainly will feel comfortable with that. But man, a lot of the guys behind are scrapping for positions right now.
Yeah,
It's Ferrari and Alcala.
Yeah, I like Ferrara's liquid moly paint there. You mentioned the BMW. Look at the color scheme on that Porsche. Silver and that color blue.
Yeah, silver version, yeah.
I like it.
Not the waifu Alcala paint.
Can't say that's a favorite of mine, although I appreciate it for what it is.
It'll be really interesting seeing the drivers who have the advantage early on. I mean, again, if the BMW really does have some more tire issues this race, it's not showing out to be an advantage at the start of this race. We even saw Langenberg get passed by Borland, Borland was in the Mercedes.
Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see what works for people as the race develops.
Man, Marcus Osborne, I've been watching him. He's been all over Paul Skip since the start of the race. We obviously saw that first almost coming together there, but he has not been giving him a break. Not that Paul's that far off from Tyler Langenberg in front.
Yeah, I mean, ooh, look at Patrick Ripley right there. Think he'll get by him in this next lap, or what's his strategy?
Well, I mean, honestly, it looks like I said, I think Marcus is the driver being more aggressive than Patrick Ripley right now. But all it takes is just a minor mistake, especially going into the keyhole. If you get too close to the guy in front of you, and it affects your line and your exit, then the guy behind you, provided he's close enough, could then take advantage of that.
Yeah. Now, just to see what it looks like when you're out in front, we're going to take another look back to Will Borland and his POV. Interestingly, he does not have trading paints running. Now, I'm not sure if that is a strategical thing or just he didn't start it, but he is trying to chase down Nicholas Paletti right now, and this is what it looks like.
Yeah, it's an exciting view. You can see too. He keeps looking up and trying to look for the other drivers, figure out where they are. It's such a fun thing because on a flat 2D screen, you don't really know where the drivers are looking, but you're getting his exact vision here and seeing what he's looking for. He's clearly turning or looking into the exit of each apex and looking ahead on the track rather than just where he's driving.
That is one of the first things they tell you in racing school, or my neighbor really. He'll yell at me, eyes ahead, and I mean, it's important. Once I got VR, I started working on that, and I improved greatly.
Yeah, it does a lot to keep you not too focused on exactly. Ooh, right there, side by side, the Lambo Calrissian there.
Oh, that's netcode.
That's a little bit of a shunt. Yeah,
that's not what you want. Let's see if we can take another look at that.
Yeah, car looks okay, but he's trying to drive through that sand now.
As they flash a little bit there.
Yeah, that was pretty big. That was pretty big net code for sure. That was a rough one. Unfortunately, Donovan Johnston coming out the victim on that. Not really the fault to either driver. It's iRacing's fault. Nothing we can do about it though.
Good old net code. Take a look up front. Paul Boyle is chasing down Will Borland, and Tyler Langenberg is not too far off of him either. They seem closer.
Langenberg dropped those 2 spots early in the first couple laps.
Yeah, I mean, once you kind of lose one position, you're out of place. Can't really do much to stop it easily. This is Paul Skip going off track. Seems like a little bit more than an off track, but minimal.
Yeah, luckily no damage there. That definitely, with much more speed, could have been a really big collision to the wheel on that.
We've also got Mark Dillon Jr. in
Also, the jumper.
in Paul Skip's car here. What happened?
Yeah, just coming over the crest there, coming down into the compression. It's hard to remember how the car is going to react because you lose down, or you lose grip when you're coming over the decompression. You gain a bunch, and then when you lose again, you can't be driving the car the same way you were during that last turn, and that's kind of where that oversteer came from.
Yeah, and I know we talked about people that keep the same livery every day. Generally, you see Mark Dillon Jr. and that red Pony Express Ferrari, but not today. Interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. Last week, he even said that he was probably going to do the Ferrari every race for the rest of the season, but he's already gone back on it.
Now look at Alcala and Barnett here. They're side by side for a long time.
Yeah, they have been next to each other fighting for 10th and 11th. Is that? Or no, because they're not in the same class. Yeah.
They're not. Oh, never mind. Good catch.
Alcala is a pro.
Yes, that is Zach Nurnberger's interesting McLaren there. I'd like to feature that paint. Just see if anybody in the audience can decipher what this is about.
Decipher anything from it. A single element will pay you.
Got a hammer and sickle. The Crayola logo. That looks like a black and white photo of somebody on the roof. And
yeah, it looks like a Civil War general or something. I have no idea.
Very interesting. Miguel McNamara went off track. That's his Ferrari disappearing there and reappearing in the wall.
That's our imagination on what happened.
I don't think it'll be too hard to imagine what the car did while it was invisible. Look at Gareth McAllister up there making moves. Sorry, that's Andrew Neri in the Ford here tonight.
Yeah, we got two of them in the exact same classic Ford GT livery.
I'm sure Patrick Ripley would be happy to see that.
Looking up front, that gap that Paletti had on Borland is completely gone. Borland has hounded him for the last half lap or so, and Terry's just driving away right now.
Yeah, he has caught up very nicely. This is what it looks like for Borland right now, trying to chase him down.
Yeah, it's especially fun when you get to have that driver right in front of you, and you have some more freedom to attack how you want, rather than even the best drivers when you're on defense. It's a little bit nerve-wracking.
For sure. You always got to look in the mirror to make sure that nobody's gonna come
close.
Make sure that nobody's.
They're still close.
Really tight.
Wow, Borland's just trying to find a way by, but these turns here, if you can't get by in the straight into that braking zone, then it's just nothing you can do.
It's kind of
keep trying to take an alternative line, but it just won't work.
Just a lead follow through here. A very expensive lead follow.
Yeah, but again, that's the section there where that's beating up your tire. So you have to try to remain fast through there and not, do too much damage to your car. But certainly when you got a driver right behind you, it's hard to be thinking about that rather than just keeping your position.
Yeah. Back to going to defending your position. You really got to watch the mirrors. Not so much in the pro class, but it's still a thing. Make sure that nobody goes for a dive bomb that you're not expecting.
Yeah, especially into the keyhole. Yeah.
I mean, if you could be the best driver ever, but if somebody's behind you and they send it on you, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, I think the drivers in this field are really good at being just really cognizant about what's on track. But we're able to avoid a lot of big incidents that way. A lot of clean driving as well.
Yeah, a lot of awareness in this field. Great drivers.
What happened to Christopher Newby?
Christopher Newby.
He back in 31st overall. I don't. He has no damage on his car, but he must have had a spin of some sort because he qualified in like, 3rd or 4th in GTDM, and he's below 10th now.
I don't.
He's back behind Atticus Milton and John Kelly, who John Kelly also qualified up there. So that it also explains why Keith Roycroft now has an 11-second gap to Richard Curry behind.
Christopher Newby was...
James Foreman. Where'd James Foreman go?
Christopher Newby was in the pits. Now, James Foreman... This is Daniel Real. We'll take a look at him first and see if we can find Mr. Foreman. That's what happened for Daniel Real. Saved it relatively nicely.
Yeah.
But, not optimal.
Yeah, that's a lot of notable names there in the in GTDM that are potentially not wanting to be that far back. Like I said, Newbie was in the pits, but I don't know if that was just some, did his short pit early. I think might be too early for that though.
I don't see any clear indications of what happened to either of them.
Yeah, well, Newbie, Kelly, and Foreman are all near the back of the AM field, all out of the top 10. Kelly was on for a win last week. Newbie has won almost every race this season. James Foreman, like I said, was one I was expecting to make some moves up because he qualified like 5th. But now we got a whole new crew. Keith Roycroft now up to 13 seconds gap, and then Richard Curry and Ryan Glover up there in the podium positions with him.
Yeah, good race developing. There is that interesting liveried McLaren there.
Ooh. David Farrar goes off there in the first couple turns of the S's. Luckily, he's able to save it, but he's going to lose a couple positions there.
Right there. Skip went off track. Now let's see.
Same turn.
Just like Mark Dillon Jr. did. Same car, just a different color on the side door there.
Again, looks to have got away without some major damage, but you can't do too many of those. Lose end up losing a lot of time on your race.
That is Atticus Middleton going for some rallycross.
McNamara.
Wow!
Ooh,
wow! Dave Ferrara handled that well.
Wow. Yeah, McNamara was almost lost. He went a little bit wide and wasn't able to fully get the car under control before the car started to rejoin.
Yeah, that was a really close one.
Yeah, up front, Terry Kiger Jr. set himself quite far ahead in first with a lot of the top 10 for mostly in the same position that they started. Other than Paul Skip, who we saw have an incident and fell back a few spots. For the most part, we've seen these drivers racing each other close, but not being able to make up many positions.
I think Ripley might be caught up in this. Maybe not, but Miguel goes for a stroll.
I see what Ripley did. He went wide in turn 1, saved it, but lost some time there. We saw it in qualifying where we saw 2 drivers, back to back. It's going to be something we see for the rest of the race as well. But I mean, he only lost maybe a second.
Not too much. I just saw both of them pop up at the same time and got scared. Now, this might be something though. No, it's the same incident. Never mind. All right, moving on.
Yeah, we have. I've honestly been surprised at how close these drivers are able to stay next to each other. I do see, by the way, Miguel McNamara unfortunately dropped from packet loss, but so I think that there's probably been. It seems like a lot of drivers are having connection issues. I don't think this is an isolated thing from the drivers. There's a lot of people having issues, but hopefully we're able to stay with the stream. Nothing happens to us. We can see some blinking, but regardless, what I was saying was I've just been really surprised at how close the drivers can stay to each other on this track with so many harrowing turns in like the second half. These guys are having a lot of bravery following so close, and especially at the in that mid pack for GTD Pro, we've seen some really close battling.
Yeah, it's really impressive. I mean, especially for our field, we've got GTDM and GTD Pro, and they're both showing really, really well. Tonight, we could take a look at how they stack up overall. Keith Roycroft out there with a 3-car gap to the second person in his class, which is Richard Curry, who I don't think we've seen much of this season.
Well, I mean, he definitely has not had a podium yet this season, so he's got to be happy to be on pace for that. And then Ryan Glover also has only 1 podium, so he'll be trying to get his second, of course, very early in the race. But you know, if you're being in the top 3, it's a lot easier to stay there than to get up there.
Yeah, Richard Curry is only down in 11th in the points, so this could be a much-needed boost for him tonight.
Yeah, and Roycroft's in 12th, I think. So both those drivers going to get a good helping of points if this is where they finish.
That'll be much appreciated by them, I'm assuming.
Man, we've been seeing just ahead the group of, you know, well, I guess, you know, the storylines are developing. First off, Borland has fallen a little bit back off of Paletti. Paletti seems to have built a little bit of a gap, but he's still quite off Terry Kiger Jr. right now. But then that trio of Boyle, Langenberg, and Osborne for at least like 4 laps now have been tailing each other, and it's been really close. And behind that, I mean, Osborne's got a huge gap to Ackridge behind. So certainly, that was very close.
Nice save.
Wish we had caught his stream on that, his onboard, because that was a fun one there.
Yeah, he may be needing to change his pants. This does not look good for Will Borland on my timing screen. If we could see it on the actual screen, there it is. Will Borland.
Good save.
Maybe getting a little psyched out by McDonald there.
Yeah, that trio that I mentioned has now become all 4 of them, and Paletti gets even more breathing room than he had before.
Yeah, a really good race from Paletti. Really good race from Terry Kiger Jr. And despite that mistake, Will Borland stays in 3rd place.
Yeah, lucky to not fully lose it there. Really good save. But Paletti, you know, we got him, of course, no wins on the season yet. Only has 1 podium, but is still 1st overall in points just through consistency. He's not really had any bad races. Long Beach was his worst, where he scored 32 points, but then he had safety points in almost every race. You know, those really add up. Well, Ferrara, they're facing the wrong way, that's for sure.
Look at that. That's Langenberg
Osborne.
and Marcus.
Osborne move on Langenberg into the second last turn. That's a tough place to make the move. That's where him and Skip got really close, but
Nicely done.
What a way to seal that off.
Now we are having some slight connectivity issues, so we apologize for that, but I think that's on iRacing's side here tonight.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't get anything beyond just some blinks. As long as we can watch everything live and not have anything be too glitched out, you know, that I'll be happy with that.
Yes, I will be as well.
No, Osborne very close to Paul Boyle into that braking zone. Obviously, he had the momentum to be able to get around Langenberg. Maybe he's going to try to get up there into the 4th place position for GTD Pro pretty soon.
Yeah.
Just watch the same spot that he did to Langenberg here at the end of the lap.
It's possible.
He's certainly staying close enough. It's not an easy passing zone. That's why I was pretty surprised to see it. But if that ends up becoming an area where he feels really strong, then, you know, I mean, use it. Right here is where, okay, Paul Boyle a little bit more defensive. Osborne wanting to get by. Not going to happen that time.
See, as Ackridge went off track, we'll come right back That's a spin for him, just like Paul Skip and Mark Dillon Jr. did.
Yeah, it looks like he maybe got started to get it turned the other direction, though. Without fully getting the car around.
Really nicely counteracted there.
Yeah, I see some blinking again from Terry. He's got a great gap, that 6 seconds, but and I'm not having the blinking issues you're having on my screen, so I at least can see you know which drivers are actually blinking, and Terry's doing it, and Terry has been dropped before from these issues, so great gap that he's got on the track. Hopefully his internet doesn't fail him again.
Yeah, this is Zach Nurnberger letting Gareth McAllister and Eve.
That's Paul Skip.
Paul
They're fighting
Skip.
for, yeah, pro.
By to not interrupt their fighting there.
Yeah, Nurnberger running in 4th as well.
Yeah, really good race from him.
See, I'm interested. What are we looking at on the fastest laps? Because I want to see how that's evolved from our qual times.
Sure.
Just a little bit too wide. Not too much lost.
We can take a look at that, but just really quickly, this is Patrick Ripley looking towards the end of the track, I believe. Uh-oh. That is...
Nope, on my screen, I don't see anything happening. Have you lost total connection?
I'm not sure here. Go back to live. Alrighty then. That was interesting.
Yeah, I checked Ripley. There was no incident on his end. So, but yeah, I see Terry Cower Jr. there, 1:21.2, and his qualifying time was a 1:20.8, and the fastest practice time, which he did not put one in, was a 1:20.2. So we are 1.6 seconds off of fastest practice times. It's getting really hot.
Yeah, I'm sure the heat, as well as now we're 18 laps in, that does not help it either.
Who is it in GTD AM then that has the fastest lap? Is it Newbie? Well, I guess like I said, we have Foreman there in 10th, but Newbie and Kelly.
John Kelly.
Okay, Kelly still down there, having to make their way up. The GTD AM field has stayed close enough that, or stayed, competitive enough that it's not easy for them to make their positions back. I don't know what happened to them, but nothing good.
Surely not. Now, we are approaching the pit stop time. About a lap, maybe. Lap or two. Until we see our first pit stop. So that 27-minute mark. Now, Marcus Osborne Jr. has just jumped to the pits, it says.
He is in the pits. Marcus Osborne Jr.
Did I say Jr.? Oh.
You did.
I think it's because Mark Dillon Jr. and then Marcus Osborne. But Marcus Osborne has towed to the pits.
Oh, did he tow? No, he just drove in. He drove in. That was a scheduled stop. Like, you just mentioned that we were close to that. He took a tire. His car rose up, so it was very fast. So it must have been just one. I don't know if that was the right call. He had just made that pass on Langenberg, and certainly if Langenberg doesn't take a tire, he's lost that spot once we get this shaken out. So we'll see if that plays out. If that plays out in his benefit, but he may have been better served taking that at like the halfway point. It's interesting to take that so early.
Yeah, it definitely is. My screen told me that he jumped to the pits, but if he drove straight in, that means we're going to see the rest of the field pitting in almost the end of this lap or the next, and we're going to see who else takes tires. I know people were talking about it before the race. Some people said they were explicitly going to take tires on their first pit stop.
Well, I think Marcus has actually come in like specifically quite early, because with a 50% tank, this track it's pretty low on throttle. I mean, you compare it to like some other tracks. you would think that they'd be able to go over 30 minutes on it. So he's kind of jumped the gun a few laps, and maybe that comes around to what I was saying, where he was going to lose some track position. If he pits early enough, he can try to, make that back before the other drivers pit around him.
Yeah, it's possible that he's going for a completely different strategy, and it wasn't just a miscalculation there. That's Patrick Ripley, as we've seen so many people do already tonight. Oh,
that was Keith Roycroft. Luckily, he got it. Oh, he did not get it slowed down. There's something happened to Roycroft again because the bumper's like complete. Oh, he got hit from behind after that. He slowed down enough, had almost no damage, and then Ackrich behind hit him pretty hard into the wall. I mean, luckily we're in the pit window, so he can get in there, and he did not go to the pits. So, I don't know if he knows what his car looks like. He should have pit. I can tell you that much. It is beat up, and he'll be, I think, on this lap kind of regretting not going into the pits yet.
Yeah, he will need a
do everything.
Yeah. That'll be an expensive repair.
Hopefully he can make that, to make that up. He is only 2.5 seconds off of the lead for GTDM after losing that huge buffer that he had. Oh, you can just see that though. His gap to Glover just melting away down the straight. Oh, why didn't he pit? He's in the pit window. I don't understand it. He just, it's hard to tell when you're in the car just exactly how bad it looks, especially because most of the damage to him has been to the rear. He certainly wouldn't know that his bumper's completely gone.
This is the battle for the lead in GTDM side by side through these twisty bits. Just wanted to get some coverage going on here.
Yeah, Glover and Curry. Again, Glover no podiums this season, and Glover one podium and Curry with none, and they're fighting for the win. Neither has a win.
Yeah, they were really, really tight through there, nice and close.
Yeah, they got the pros of Neri and Vihil behind them, but they have certainly separated themselves. Roycroft into the pits now, but they have separated themselves for the GTDM field, and are going to be giving each other plenty of trouble for the next few laps.
Look just how close. Richard Curry much better through that hairpin there, but not on power.
Newbie goes a little bit off track there, I saw. Ripley just dropped due to packet loss, unfortunately.
Boy. Now right behind is Neri. Ooh. Got a
Terry
lot
Cocker
more.
Jr. still staying out, so definitely some fuel in the cars for drivers to keep
Oh!
going if they want. Oh, wow. That was a send and a half.
Curry, I mean, seemingly going a little bit too wide there. No, Curry.
Yeah. Neri has now gone past Curry. So again, Neri not for class, but has now separated those two drivers. And that's
for class though. Don
Ackrich
McCloy and
McCoy.
Ackrich.
Kind of just got out of his way there.
Yeah, I think McCloy is just letting him by. As you predicted, pit stops are going to be delayed slightly because it is a better track for fuel, I suppose. But we are seeing a few people in, including Claybaugh and Glover.
Interesting to not see Glover stay out and have that lead a little bit more, but maybe this is the lap where we do see, maybe he wasn't able to go another, and some people are just able to stretch it out an extra one.
Will Borland passes Nick Paletti for P2. That
Harry
may just be
continues again.
pits. Or maybe not at all.
Yeah, I do not think that happened.
All sorts of fun
Borland
things
into the
are going
pits
on.
now. Yeah, Calgary's still out. 31 and almost 32 minutes.
That's odd.
He's not the only one.
what we usually
Paletti's
see.
out. Boyle stayed out. Langenberg's out. Borland is pit though. Borland is the one of the top 5 there that has made the pit. Of course, Osborne already has. So that's what we'll be looking at. Is Osborne was just a second and a half maybe behind Borland before the pit. I doubt Borland takes a tire, so we'll see where that gap ends up now. It's quite a lot. Borland is just exiting pit exit now, and Osborne is not even to the second last corner yet. So I guess we'll see. Maybe his tire call is not going to really come into its own until the very end of the race.
Have to see. That is Paul Skip. Now, where is Mark Dillon Jr.? Mark Dillon Jr. is out of this race.
I must have missed that. Oh, well, no, he did see that. Okay, Terry Kiger Jr. into the pits. Paletti staying out. Getting
Keith
another lap led.
Same place that he had some issues just 3 laps ago. Loses it. Luckily, this time without the loss of his trunk.
Yeah, for sure. Paul Boyle is in the pits. Tyler Langenberg stayed out, so a couple drivers able to stretch it even further.
This is the final section of the racetrack here. Ethan Roycroft.
Wide, you can tell. Yeah,
Too much
speed.
It's right by the pit entrance, and he is flipped around.
No damage, but did he tow? Yeah, I think he disconnected. Unfortunate. Another pole that unfortunately wasn't able to convert into some solid points.
Very unfortunate.
I guarantee he'll have a win by the end of the season. He certainly has the pace. But I mean, this is a tough track. I certainly can't fault any driver for making a mistake here because it's very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I haven't raced here is because I haven't felt comfortable enough to really take a whole race without spinning.
Yeah, the track really throws a lot at you, and we've seen the drivers already. This definitely seems it kind of reminds me of VIR as far as just how tough it's been on the drivers.
It has been very tricky.
But right now, we're still kind of waiting on how things shake out. We do have Paletti into the pits and Langenberg into the pits as well. James Foreman, as we think, had to pit early due to potentially a crash, something like that. So he's currently in 3rd place with our former leader Ryan Glover right behind him.
Yes, he is. Let's take a look at him. Where are we? James Foreman. There he is.
And he's into the pits. Okay, so maybe he didn't have pit and he just had extra fuel, or maybe he pit on the first lap. Who knows? I'm having a hard time following exactly what happened with some of these drivers early in the race. But Kelly was another one that something had happened early for the GTDM drivers. Currently running in 2nd, but if he did have to pit at that start, he's going to have to do an extra that the other drivers don't have to.
Yes, he will.
So then I wonder, is De La Sala in the actual net lead? That would be surprising, I would think, unless he really did make his stop early and it was in, without like any major damage. But it's been a little more obvious what's going on, at least for the GTD Pro field. We've kind of seen the drivers stay in mostly the same spots.
You have.
But incidents, not really an issue for the drivers. Also not an issue on this track. Obviously, like I said, we've seen the areas where you can make a mistake, but there's no track limits to abuse here. If you go off, it's because you made a mistake. So you're not going to see like drivers rack up a bunch of off tracks or anything like that. It'll just be exclusively from mistakes here.
Now, you seem to have better data than me when it comes to the off tracks. What does it look like right now?
Well, we still have a pretty good handful of drivers at zero. Paletti, Neri, Curry, Nurnberger, Kyber Jr., and Terrell. They're all still at zero incidents. And then almost every single driver is still like under 4. There's some at 5 and 6. We're not really looking right now at any drivers having to worry about being extremely cautious for the rest of the race, but we have William Alcala way wide in turn 1 there, struggling to even return to the track.
Take another look at that. He was off track for 9 seconds there, going through that good old grass, and finally makes it back on track.
Yeah, no damage, but that's just again, it's not the first time and it's not the last time we'll see that in turn 1. It's just it's one that it just is you want to brake as little as possible, but if you just don't do it enough and you try to get in gas a little bit too early, you'll understeer and you'll go out into that grass. Not forgiving track limits here.
No, they are not at all.
There's literally no runoff anywhere on any turn in this track. Sometimes you get a little bit of that curb as like an edging, but there's no pavement runoff here.
Yeah, and that's just gonna cause you to go slipping and sliding when you go off track. The pavement at least gives you a little bit of grip to slow down. The grass, not so much. Alright. Hopefully the fluttering of the cars has slowed down now, at least for the time being, and we can come back to watching this race.
Yeah, it's interesting after the pit cycle that we've kind of lost some of the really close battles. But speaking of one, we do have, as you see there, Osborne right on Boyle, and I don't think Boyle took a tire. And if you remember, a few laps before the pit cycle started from Osborne, he was immediately behind Boyle. So it's kind of evened out now, the gap as far as what it was before, and maybe it was a good call. Again, he could be, especially in the BMW, one of those drivers that was planning on doing it from the very start.
Yeah, I think he can do it. He, I believe he qualified 7th, and we said that he had a good chance of climbing up the order over the race, just from his consistency. And he's still down in 7th, but we still have an hour of racing left.
Yeah, I can confirm Boyle did not take a tire. So, very different cars, but if it's already making an effect that Osborne took a tire, then, I mean, it's going to be, drivers are going to be kind of rethinking maybe what they want to do at the next stop. But, I mean, I say that, but we're blessed with being able to see all this knowledge. When you're in the car, you don't know what everyone around you did, who took tires, who didn't, how long they were in the state. It's really tough to be your own strategy engineer when you're inside the cockpit.
For sure. That's one of the hardest parts about driving alone. Luckily, they have applications like Crew Chief to somewhat guide you, but you don't really have any data other than your fuel level. So that makes it...
all Crew Chief will do is, I mean, it's useful, but it, just helps you fuel. But Nick Terrell there fighting his way through the field, having some fun with some overtakes. But, I mean, like, the crew sheet won't give you, like, strategy calls and stuff. It's all up to the driver. It's a fun challenge, but, man, when you're talking about tire strategy, people taking different amounts at different times, it's just impossible to know what your opponents are doing. But Osborne close enough to maybe make a lunge here. He's going to do it. He's going for it. Late braking. Wow, sticks it on the inside.
Nice move.
Driving confidently.
We've seen some very bold moves from Marcus Osborne in the past few races. One of them being in the kink at Bathurst. And that's another one right there. He is really showing how good of a driver he can be.
Yeah, I don't know where it came from. I mean, he was, not slow at the start of the season, but usually in the, usually around like the 8th to 10th kind of gap. Wasn't putting in like race winning time, but last week we saw him come out of nowhere with vying for first, and I mean he's made some really courageous moves so far already. Had a really fast time in practice, and maybe we'll see him acquire some more positions throughout this race.
Yeah, no, immediately I noticed he has almost a 1.5 second gap already, which is really impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I still have to wonder if that's from the tire or if it's just his driving. Because I mean, like I said, we saw him really fast last week. But Paul Boyle, we know he's not a slow driver. He's been fast in virtually every race. Maybe not every race. The result is, oh, don't get in the grass there.
That's not where you want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you do want to be on the inside, but not that far inside. But Paul Boyle, maybe not every race going to what he wanted, but he's had the pace at every track and has certainly put in the practice hours. So, yeah, I mean, I'd have to think that it's the tire strategy already. Is the track temp even higher? Because like you said, it was 108 at the pace lap. Is that something you're able to pull up now?
103, so it seems that it's gone down. But still
a little wide there.
Very hot for E4A. Look at Jeff McDonald, the no longer gridded car down the inside. Can he get this slowed down? Yes, he can.
Very similar to the Osborne move, yeah.
Beautiful overtake by Jeff McDonald on Michael De La Sala.
It's such a fun turn to watch an overtake. It's just slow enough that you can do that in the braking zone, but fast enough that the cars look really impressive going through.
Yeah, it's a wonderful, wonderful little section of track there.
McDonald now has Hingley just right in front of him to potentially put himself up into the top 5.
I just appreciate the sound of that Mercedes right now. Especially off throttle.
Man, yeah, he's already pulled a gap to De La Salle behind and has definitely closed up on Hingley as soon as he possibly could. Though potentially, let's see how he takes this keyhole here, but potentially make another move. Okay, so I see there so Kelly did take a stop early. Just we don't know why, but yeah, Osborne, we already saw his very, very early pit strategy.
Now, interestingly, almost none of the leaders pit on the same lap.
Yeah, it's a little confusing. Most of the time, you see the drivers extend the fuel to the maximum they possibly can, and that only differs between drivers by like 1 lap. So, I don't know what's going through the drivers' minds when they're pitting lap 19 through 26 in that top section for GTD Pro. I mean they know something, that's for sure. That's definitely deliberate.
It definitely is. As we were just talking about John Kelly pitting 8 laps into the race, he's back into the pits now.
Yep, he's just exiting now. So, yeah, when you have to pit that early, that probably was out of the natural pit range. So, unfortunately, that's going to be an extra bit and a lot of time that has to be made up. I know he was looking forward to this race when we talked to him last week in his interview after.
There's another one. Sorry to interrupt.
Damage.
Oh, wow.
Oh, backwards car. Is that Curry, I think?
I believe so. That would be Curry, and
still there he's in China Beach.
Yeah. Just narrowly missing him is
just now rejoining
Adrian Garcia Vigil as he went for the overtake there on Andrew Neri. See what happened here.
It hurts. That Curry was. This is coming down to the first part of the S's, and like I said, it's easy to lose. There's a little bit of a crest there, but yeah, he kept the tires lighted up, and then It just kept turning him even more until he was facing completely the wrong way. But now he's got Hingley right on the rear with McDonald there too. Those three all fighting for 4th place in GTD AM right now. With Del Salle not that far behind that as well.
Yeah, it's a great battle.
Interesting to see how this shakes out. You've seen the early pace by Curry, but that mistake really put him back with this group, unfortunately. And Glover certainly looking a little bit safer. We already have Keith Roycroft out of the race. We have some guys like Newby, Foreman, Kelly, who all did well in qualifying, but had to pit early for some reason or another, and are now seeing a new group of faces. And we just saw the mistake by Richard Curry. So if Glover can keep it cool, he has a big, really big gap on Nürnberger behind.
Yeah, I mean, 19 seconds. We've seen some of the most dominant race winners winning by that kind of gap. So it's looking good for Ryan Glover right now.
Yeah, it's not even halfway through the race. So, one side of that is that he still has a lot of work to do. But, I mean, the other side is that you have a 19-second gap and we're not even halfway through. Like, you gotta feel good about that.
I feel pretty good for Ryan Glover right now, but I also don't want to give him the good old commentator's curse. So, Ryan Glover is just a car to us commentators. No further comment.
I think that, again, it looks like Curry is still at least in the net P3. So the mistake has not thrown him completely out of contention. He didn't get any damage from it. So it may not be too bad, but he is in the BMW again. I'm very interested to see this late race tire dynamic in a car that was not the answer late in the race at Bathurst for sure.
I'm sure we're gonna see some. Ooh, Daniel Haley getting a little bit loose. De La Salle wants to crack on it, but I'm sure we'll see if Marcus Osborne's strategy really paid off towards the end. If he can manage to storm through the field, or if he'll start to fall off.
Oh, and by the way, I was wondering, because we saw Hingley next to Del Salle. I was like, where did McDonald go? McDonald went into the pits, so that's definitely an early one. He's doing it on purpose because he's got no damage. So a little bit early, but maybe just wanted to be out of that scrum that he was finding himself in the middle of.
Always a good thing to escape really cluttered racing areas.
Yeah, again, we're not seeing any drivers in some danger with the safety points. I mean, most drivers are actually going to score them now. But, there's some interesting ones up there that have more incidents than most. James Foreman's at 8, which is the limit for those points. And Mark Jones Jr. is at 5. Paul Skip is at 7, but no one's really in that much trouble, which is good news, because when you get a drive-through, it usually ruins your race.
Yeah, I know how it feels to get a drive-through as the Pony Express record holder for 3 drive-throughs in 2 laps somehow. It's really going to throw you off. Now, if you get 3 drive-throughs, that's 2 minutes of time lost. Well, close to that.
This isn't the slowest pit, but it's not the fast. Oh, and I see Mark Dillon Jr. there taking at least 1 tire. This may be all 4.
Mark Dillon Jr. is back in the race.
Oh yeah, I guess I wouldn't even. Yeah, I just saw him in the pits, and yeah. So Mark has returned. He's 30 laps down. Don't know where he went, but he's back in there.
It's possible that he doesn't think he has enough laps for the Ironman bonus.
Yeah, 30 laps down.
That'd be 30. That'd be 8 when he crashed, but interesting. Maybe he's just bored.
Yeah, we do have Dan Royale also, who is in the pits, but like he's in the session, but he's 29 laps down. So I don't know what happened there.
May have just left and then came back to his computer, or left the computer on.
Regardless, we've got 29 drivers within 1 lap, so a lot of drivers still out here on a pretty tough track.
Now, speaking of tough, a little bit too tough for Mr. Vahil. He's gonna take a little loop around.
Yeah, not the first guy we've seen. Yeah, not the first guy we've seen. Send it in with too much speed, and then man, it's tough for the cars behind when a car's just stopped right there.
It is definitely tricky when you turn these corners, and they are very tight and blind corners. And there's just a car there.
At least there's space for these cars to spin and go off track, and for the most part, not get any damage. So difficult, but it's not usually race ending.
Nope. We've seen a lot of flat spins over the 8 races that we've broadcast so far, including a lot of them at VIR.
Yeah, that's why it's reminding this track very, very much with how the race is going. Definitely reminds me of VIR. I think in its actual design, not one that we have on the E4A calendar, but Barber Motorsport Park.
Not a track that I'm familiar with.
It's fantastic. I will definitely be lobbying for it for E4A next. I feel like it'd be a good one. I don't know. Maybe it'll happen. Keep an eye out.
I mean, all I know about Barber is that it's got a wonderful spider statue or sculpture.
Oh, car. Who's that there?
That would be Steven Shepard, I believe.
And he had to wait forever. So many cars just coming through. First, I was wondering if he was just AFK because
Wow.
he was just waiting so long. That really looked like that should have been more damage, honestly.
Yeah, that is the tire barrier doing, I mean, a really great job of protecting the driver, I guess. This Terry Cocker Jr. laps Daniel Hingley.
Yeah, Terry's, he's still got a huge gap. It hasn't, him pulling away has certainly slowed down. At the line, it was 7.5 seconds. It's around the 8-second mark now, but his pulling away has slowed down a little bit. Potentially, that's something that he's just controlling. But Nick Paletti behind has a really safe gap to Langenberg behind as well. It's interesting seeing all these big gaps that we've now got. The pit cycle for some reason just separated all these drivers.
Yeah, it's a really interesting pit cycle though, because it's not like usual.
Yeah, and then again, because they all pit on totally different laps, we're probably going to see that with these guys for this second pit cycle, which is for the ones who pit early, like Marcus Osborne, that's coming up in, just a few laps. It looks like Paletti was able to stretch at 26, but most wanted to do 24.
Yeah.
Same spot. Della Sala there, running pretty high in GTDM. Not going to lose too much time from that, but won't feel good.
No, it definitely will not. But we're going to take a very, very short break, and we'll be back in just a few minutes.
Awesome turn
Okay,
one.
so we rejoin, and Marcus Osborne has had some troubles. That is Adrian Garcia Vigil also going very slowly, but here is what happened to Mr. Marcus Osborne. That's turn one.
Man, he
Oof.
barely grazed that. That was so close.
So slight. Ooh, that Ford almost destroyed his day.
But even crossing the line, maybe, oh, because he would have already made his second pit. Yeah, I mean, luckily not too much time lost, but he was running in fifth, and we'll see where that then shakes back out after everyone else has to pit.
Yeah, I mean, still really mixed numbers all over. I assume that we'll see Claybot into the pits anytime now.
Coming by it. Oh, sorry, I was getting the turn mixed up. No, but he didn't pit during this last lap, correct?
Approaching that window now. Seen about half an hour.
That was close. That was really close. That was De La Sala there almost losing it. But Alcala's looks like he's probably going to keep the position. Again, you want to be on inside on all these. So yeah, that's De La Sala just out of position there after a little bit of a mistake. Now he has to look behind him.
Yeah, and Alcala and De La Sala, of course, in different classes as well.
Oh, correct. But Christopher Craig is not, and Craig has now made his way past De La Sala. And Will Borland is going into the pits. He saw some traffic in front that he had to get around and did not want to deal with that. So he's into the pits. Looks like he's going to have two equal length 23 lap stints. Could go longer if he wanted to, but this is his strategy. I'm going to take a look and see if he takes tires because this is the second pit.
Zach Nurnberger's out in front, picking up some laps led for GTM. I forget.
Did Glover pit? Because Glover was ahead just seconds ago, so I have to imagine that he took a pit.
That's what I'm thinking. Glover in the pit lane for 40 seconds.
Borland taking a tire, at least one tire. His car's jacked up, so even the Mercedes having to play into this tire strategy. That was possibly even two with how long that was up. He may have taken both lefts.
Very possible.
Who knows? Yeah, I wanted to see. I'm gonna try to take a look at Osborne's last pit and see if because again, he was the driver that took a tire early on. Interestingly, see if he took one in his second pit as well. I would have thought that if he was just going to do one change, that he would have done it in the middle of the race.
That's what you would think, but you never know.
Man, these guys know more than me, so. He did not take a tire in his second stop. That was 4 laps ago or so.
Interesting.
Terry's got over 10 seconds now.
Yeah, looking good for Terry, but thinking of the commentator's curse, it's looking like Terry is driving a car on a race in Ohio. No,
I don't know, man. Terry's been mostly immune to the curse throughout this whole season.
To be safe, I'm just gonna say it looks like Terry, because if I say it looks like Terry's driving a race car, he will get sent to the Shadow Realm. Oh, look at a Foreman almost taking Dave Ferrara check up there.
Paul Boyle right on the back of Claybaugh's teammate right now. Definitely the closest battle in Pro currently.
Yeah, that's right behind that pack of 4 we were just watching. Obviously, Paul Boyle and his teammate are a lap up.
Yeah, Ferrara's involved in that. Ferrara must be on a different lap as well. Yeah, he is. Okay, so Ferrara, Foreman, De La Sala, Craig into the pits though. Everyone else staying out.
That's Will Borland on Zach Nurnberger. Zach not fighting him too hard because it's not for class position.
Yeah, Borland not fighting up at the very top like we've seen him in almost every race so far. I mean, he won the first 2 races. He took part in because he missed he was not here for the first 3. So he won the first 2 races. Didn't his spa didn't turn out like he wanted. Oh, and that's a spin right there. Too fast. You seeing the
Yeah.
Mercedes come back to haunt after VIR?
Yeah, it seems like a common theme for that car there.
I mean, yeah, that's the kind of turn I would expect to induce that from, a similar situation with what we saw at turn 1 at VIR. Similar circumstances for the car to do that. Osborne on Kelly, not for class, just trying to drive fast. He's got some making up to do after that spin that he had.
Does indeed.
Oh man, De La Salle spinning in the final turn. Him and Ferraro were very close to each other, nearly had a collision, but he just got a little bit into that sand there.
Side note there, Ryan Glover also went off, but didn't pick up any damage.
Yeah, De La Salle did hit the wall there, so it's that is definitely some damage there. Could have been faster.
But he's gonna back right into Jeff McDonald.
Yeah, did a good job to stay out of the way, but also keep his race running. So, but yeah, with that Glover incident, wonder how much time he really lost from that. Is as Zach Nurnberger now comes into the pits, we'll see where they shake out next to each other now, because that's kind of shaping up to be the top couple guys for GTDM, because Kelly, I believe, is not in the correct pit strategy after that early pit that he had to take.
Well, it's looking like there's gonna be a splash and dash at the end, so he could have covered that off already, and he might be able to make it.
Yeah, I'm trying to. It may be okay. I mean, yeah, maybe he did it on purpose. Like, it's something that we missed, so it could be the plan the whole time along. I wouldn't think it would be. I wouldn't want to pit early, because then you're just like stuck behind a bunch of people. But
Not even the stuck behind a bunch of people, but if anything goes wrong and throws you off the slightest bit, you have to adjust from there. Whereas if you do it at the end, you can calculate exactly.
Paletti's out of the pits. Curry's out of the pits. Langenberg coming out of the pits. All coming down there. Mark Dillon Jr. letting Paletti by.
Mark Dillon Jr. is still kicking almost 30 laps down. That's impressive.
Langenberg getting around Curry here. Not for class, of course. Just trying to lose as little time to each other as possible.
Yep.
Is that gap correct between Cowger and Paletti? 30 seconds?
Let's take a look. Track map is up. I do not think so.
Tires. Okay.
Cowger is going into a right-hander, and Paletti is going into it now.
Oh, yeah. No tires for Paletti, no tires for Langenberg. And I've already seen no tires for Terry.
That's Barnett and Neri there. Into turn 1.
Going out wide. Oh,
Neri loses it. Oh, and that's also the one car. Or Sleek, that's a new name. He also picks up a little damage there. That's not what you want.
Interesting to see a spin there. To spin before going up. Oh, you see guys go off track plenty, but man,
Borland.
It was the same corner.
Borland going for a little rallycross adventure.
Oh, actually, that was a different one. I'm sorry, but it's a similar kind of thing. It goes over a crest. Maybe he's starting. He took a tire, but it's starting to look like he's losing the control of that car.
Yeah, it's getting tricky out there.
Man, things really compound too. Like if you make even just a small mistake and you let it get to you, you just keep doing it. Borland made another mistake. Almost lost it there in the final corner. He's going in for the pits. He may be taking a tire. Well, I'll keep an eye on it. but he almost lost it again coming into that tough second to last corner.
Yeah, I know how it feels to just go downhill, mistake after mistake in a long race like this. It is not fun. Really just
He
gotta...
is taking a tire, at least one. He's jacked up, so he must be not happy with how the tires were treated. Certainly, it would be an effect.
Yeah, I'm sure, I mean, he might just take them all with how many spins he's had. He may have a problem with his tire wear now.
I like to see this. I like to see the drivers actually having the... Ooh, that was a... It could have been... Looking at the car, it could have been worse at least, but it seems like that would be pretty bad.
Mid-Ohio.
It's great to have tire strategy for once, something that we're... Oh, Dave Ferrara goes off after the keyhole there. It's hard. I've barely time to talk with all these incidents, but it's just great to have actual strategy, and not just oh man, and not just everyone doesn't take tires and that's all that happens.
Jeff McDonald getting launched as well, but
nice job keeping it pinned.
There's action all over. But Mid-Ohio seems to have just elastic barriers because you do not get any damage. It's kind of like when I plowed our LMP2 car into the barrier at Sunset Corner in Sebring and drove away with it. 0 seconds of optional repairs.
Still, again, not really looking at that many drivers who have lost points, but some interesting names up there. I mean, we've got Tyler Langenberg, for example. He's at 11, so he's not going to get those bonus points. James Foreman's at 8 still, so at least he hasn't picked up any since we last went over this. But some drivers that will definitely want to have those points are Will Borland's at 17, so he's going to lose on that as well. As far as the guys on 0, we do still have Paletti, who's there in second.
Foreman may have an 18th now.
Foreman was at 8.
Let's see. Never mind. Thought you said somebody was at 17.
Foreman is at 10, so he lost the point there in that incident. Terry Kiger Jr. number... Oh, what in the world happened to Ferrara?
I just saw a car just zoom past us. That may have been him.
I don't... It just
lost
didn't even
his
look
brakes.
Like he was on the brakes. That was weird. Maybe he was looking away from the screen. I don't know. But Paletti, Nurnberger, Kiger Jr. trying to get this note in real quick before another incident happens. All at 0. Very clean races for them so far.
Interestingly, looks like Ferrara doesn't have like any damage there.
It's the forgiving barriers, but he didn't hit the brakes until he must have been looking at something else because he was way off. I don't know what happened there. You have the heel going wide there.
All right, so we've got Daniel Hingley here.
He is kicking off. We still got 25 minutes.
Yeah, look at how different. That's Alcala going through on. Oh, he's going to the pits. That's why.
Johnson into the pits.
Yeah, Johnson. We're off track once more. Into the grass. This is Ohio drift.
Yeah. Yeah, you just I've seen guys go deep there, guys get into the grass. Newbie going wide into the keyhole. Wouldn't normally go that wide, but I think it was just because he had a driver on his inside.
Take a look at that pit strategy. It is all sorts of jumbled up.
I know we got differences in tire takes and stuff like that. It's it makes it harder to follow, but it certainly makes it more interesting. It's excited to see how things play out.
Yeah, our big climber tonight, not Marcus Osborne, but Aaron Clayball is up 7 positions.
Yeah, I mean, running in 4th right now, it's a great position for him. He certainly hasn't done poorly in really any of the races, but I don't think he has a podium yet. Just on the cusp of it right now. Let me check. He does not. So no podiums for him, but he is running in 4th overall in the points. So him and Paletti, very similar situations as teammates, where not getting a lot of podiums, but they're putting in those consistent points and seeing them through so far, at least.
Yeah, now look at the run William Alcala has on Daniel Hingley through turn 1. Very nicely stuck behind. He's got the inside line for the corner, and he's going to get that move.
Again, Alcala in a different class.
Yes.
Just
But,
don't have his name
Still,
there.
still free to race each other.
Johnston almost losing. Man, that second to last corner, giving everyone fits. He saved it there. I was just on board with him right when that happened. But it's honestly not the one I would have pegged as the real difficult one for this track. But man, it's no one's been happy there. None of the cars. It doesn't look like it's just car specific. Although we have seen the Mercedes more than a few times.
Yeah, now let's take a look. How many cars are remaining in this race? It looks like
24 within 1 lap.
26 cars still out racing. That is a wonderful number.
So the gap from Cowger Jr. to Paletti at the line was down to 3.9. We had a 6 seconds melts away somewhere, and then Langenberg is only a couple seconds off of Paletti. So I don't know what we saw. I'm wondering if maybe Terry Cowger Jr. had to avoid something with traffic, or if his tires are starting to go off. We know Paletti didn't take tires, but I'm trying to look at just the recent lap times. Terry did have a 123 a few laps ago. Trying to see what may have caused that. He did let Will Borland by, so Will Borland's got more pace right now because of the tire he took. But he's further back, of course.
This is what the best lap times look like right now.
We're not even close to those.
And
they're putting in 22s. That's
just
the top.
admire those, and now this is what they look like now.
Yeah, way off. But look at that Osborne there. Last lap was a 122.3. He's got this late race pace. Great rhyme there. Maybe from the early tire he took.
Very possible. This is how they look in terms of gaining position. Zach Nurnberger is up 9. Ryan Glover is up 7. Daniel Hingley is up 9.
Yeah, I mean, Nurnberger's certainly been in good positions earlier this season in GTDM, but this was one where he didn't qualify all too high, and certainly was, maybe ignored a little bit. Starting in 12th, but now up to 3rd, and again, we'll see if Kelly's on the right strategy or not. It may be a net P2, but yeah, I do think, like you were saying, I do think Kelly maybe had just squeezed it in.
It's very possible, and if he does, it's pretty impressive to maintain that over a whole race.
We had a Neri losing it in turn 1. That's massive damage to the front left.
There he goes.
Really wide. And then look at this collision.
Ouch.
I bet he had no damage when he hit those tire things, but then you hit the real wall, and then it's over.
Oh yeah. We'll see the extent of that damage as he turns.
Spooks Osborne a little bit there.
That is the inside of the 4GT. Patrick Ripley, you might want to take a stroll down to the pit box and get working on that one.
Interesting. So, we 4.8 seconds between Paletti and Cowger Jr. now. So, again, latest lap by Paletti was a 22.7. Terry was a 22.5. The gap, their gap in speed was certainly greater earlier in the race than it is now, and it's not like Paletti doesn't have any sort of stress on him from behind, because he's got Langenberg just barely over a second back.
Ooh, that is Paul Skip into Johnston. Uh-oh. Borland side by side now. This is for position. P9 in class. Borland gets it done.
Yeah, that's it's got to be on Paul. Unfortunately, you know, you gotta make your way by safely. I know Johnson was lifting a little bit to help him get through, but Paul was already understeering out towards that way.
Forrest Sleek spinning right behind / in front of Donovan Johnston. That's a new name around here, and it's interesting that he was able to get number 1. Because, well, actually, that may have just defaulted there, but I would have expected number 1 to be taken.
Yeah, I guess I don't know who's number 1 in the league, but yeah, if he hasn't been set a number, then yeah, it would just default him initially to that. So that must be what's going on. Bird falling back a little bit from Paletti. Again, GTDM. I mean, if Kelly is on strategy, he's not that far away from being able to push for a win.
I mean,
17 minutes to go.
It's.
I guess the idea is that Kelly doesn't have to pit again, right?
Yeah.
Or
think. Yeah, it'll be
possible. I'm just trying to work it out in my head. Every driver's doing something different.
I don't know. Take one more look at the pit strategies here now. Glover, hold on. Let's do some calculations.
So I mean, we're generally seeing 24, 25 laps. A couple people able to do a 26, like Paletti's first and Claybaugh's second stint.
Now Kelly just pit.
Oh, he did. Okay.
So Ryan Glover may have to make a splash and dash, which would mean Kelly
will, right?
Means Kelly will be out in front by a long shot.
Yeah, by a ton. So he's already pit 3 times and he's 2 seconds off the lead.
Is this a master class?
He does have the fastest lap for GTDM. I mean, there's no question that he's had the pace, but man, that's a lot of pace to be able to be in that position. Yeah, he clearly doesn't have to pit again. Oh, he doesn't have the fast lap anymore. He did before. Is it? Who is it? Is it? I'm trying to think of who's outside of the. Oh, Keith Roycraft potentially.
Mark Dillon Jr.
Oh, he just came out there to flex with a fast time, and then. I mean, he did have the benefit of fresh tires after not driving for 30 laps, but a great lap time regardless.
Interesting. So this could be a complete masterclass by John Kelly.
Yeah, he was in line for that win last week before just some unfortunate circumstances transpired and had to settle for a third. But yeah, that kind of blows my mind that he's up there. So everyone else, for the most part, should have to pit again, unless Newbie, who we also again saw disappear at some point early in the race, also doesn't need to. But he is, over half as well. He's more like 45 seconds back from Kelly. I
don't know. It's gonna be. I'm not sure. I feel like we're missing something.
Yeah, I know. I really do feel like that. But again, still Glover, great race for him. May not be finishing in first, but I think with a splash and dash, he comes out in third. I don't think that he falls behind Curry, who also has been having a great race as well.
Can also take a look at the pit stop time and how long each person stayed in the pit box. Now, John Kelly did not spend a long time in the pit box his first time in the pits.
Well, he wouldn't have used up much fuel,
Yeah. So it's not like he took a tire. It was just a 9-second stop for fuel. But Ryan Glover, both times, has taken long. But John Kelly has spent more time stationary and more time driving at that 40-mile-an-hour limit. But
look at that strategy there by Osborne as well. He took his splash and dash really early. He went only what is that? Probably like 8 laps, something like that, on that third stint, and then took his dash early. So he's currently running back in 7th, but let's see. As far as his gap, we'll see a couple people. I think he may move his way back up to the fifth place position after Boyle and McCloy do their pits.
I can see that being a realistic area.
Maybe just to 6th. We'll see. But they're down to only 13 minutes.
John Kelly is only 5/10 behind.
Is it possible to do it just a 2-stop? Because some of these, like you got Paletti, he's only got 12 laps on the stint. There's 12 minutes. 12 minutes is less than 12 laps. So I think a 2-stopper is doable.
Well, if it is doable, that still doesn't guarantee Ryan Glover the win. Because look at John Kelly. He is raging fast right now.
Well, and the thing to look at Glover, I don't think he can. Because you can see he only did 22 laps on the first stint. And I was looking at like Paletti, who's stretched those further. Glover's pretty close to reaching the length of stints that he's already done. And I mean, with 12 minutes left, a lap that's a minute 20, what are we thinking? Like 8 laps left? Can he go 25? Other drivers have.
I'm not sure.
This really is interesting because if the 2-stopper is really that easy that some of these drivers can do that, then anyone who did 3 or set up for 3, like potentially Osborne pitting that early on that 19, it was just the wrong call.
Yeah, I just want to point out these 2 Fords running side by side for Patrick Ripley. It's really cool to look at.
Yeah, glad they both went with the classic. Although it does make it a little confusing, but certainly Neri has a little bit more damage, unfortunately, than McAllister's car right now.
Yeah, a little bit. But here is the...
Wow, Kelly, yeah, he's right on him.
Which is really interesting.
Pit strategy not necessary. He is right there.
Can he hold that to the end of the race? No.
Christopher Newby as well has caught up to Curry, and it's right on the back of him.
Boy, really tossing that car around. Just gets lost in that corner, as we've seen so many before.
Yeah, not an easy one. Kelly clearly has some pay. I mean, look at the laps he's putting in. I mean, he's been putting in consistent mid 22s, which is the kind of times that GTD Pro is putting in. Glover had a 1:23.4 in the pre. He's been mostly 23s, so I don't think, unless he was just taking it easy until Kelly got close, I'm not sure he's going to be able to hold him off much longer with the pace that Kelly's had. Yeah,
I think once Kelly gets ahead, he's going to run away, as we saw Marcus Osborne do earlier. It's just that clear air.
There, and he had more grip in that keyhole there. Was just able to keep it on the inside when Glover was starting to kind of push wide.
Very close. They're both in the Porsche, so they're going to have the same sort of strengths and weaknesses. Maybe not in driving style, but how the car handles at least. Which kind of puts them on a level playing field.
Yeah, I don't know if either of these drivers took tires.
I don't think they did.
This late in the race, the tire condition can be just massively different, just based on the driver and how they're managing it. We've seen already, listened to Terry in a couple interviews, have so much lower percentage than some of the other people that we've talked to. Donald just stuck there. Not the first time that we've seen someone spin and lose some time. Luckily, no, not too many huge crashes. Kelly not able to do a ton during that lap to pressure Glover in front.
He's just sitting back and waiting for his chance now. I think he knows he has the pace, so he can do it when it's gonna matter the most.
Yeah, I mean, you want it to be a good move that'll stick. No point in risking too much. The driver behind Forrest Sleek, he's not on the same lap, so Kelly doesn't have to worry about the driver in position behind him. That's Zachary Nurnberger, who is well behind him on track, 15 seconds back.
Yeah, I think that gives John Kelly a lot of confidence here because he does not have to watch his back for any dive bombs while he's trying to attack. But Ryan Glover, I mean, he's leading the race with 7 minutes to go, and he's got a car 2/10 behind him. I think he's a little more stressed out than John Kelly is right now.
I mean, it's definitely doable, you know, if he's able to find some extra pace and cleverly place his car in the couple of passing zones. But sometimes there's just nothing, especially if it's really down to like how the tire condition is. There's just nothing you can do. If your tires are worse, your tires are worse, regardless of how good you are at driving. I mean, John Kelly's fastest lap, it was a 1:22.1. And that was all the way back in lap 17. Before he caught up to Glover here, he got slowed down by him a little bit. He was putting in mid 122s still, close to his fastest lap, all the way back to the start of the race.
Yeah, they are. I mean, it's just impressive.
And McDonald there, not again. He's on a different lap, so not there fighting for first, but certainly in the way, and Glover's not gonna like it for sure.
Quick side note, this is William Alcala. In that corner we've seen so many people have trouble with.
Too much speed.
He's gonna join them in the spin arena.
Nurnberger has, at some point since we last mentioned it, picked up his off track because Pleddy and Calgary Jr. are now the only two drivers with 0X.
Look at how close they are.
I'm starting to. It's been enough laps here. I'm wondering if it's going to happen. If Glover actually can hold him off for the rest of the race.
Uh-oh.
Wait.
Oh, that was close. Very, very close. Wow.
That was about the end of Glover's fight for first there. McDonald on the radio. I think he's looking to let Glover by here. Yep. And Kelly as well.
Yes.
Wow, that was close. That was not the closest he's been, and what that makes me think is that he's starting to
get antsy.
He's starting to kind of lose confidence that he's going to be able to make that move because he's had better opportunities earlier.
I wonder if now where does the pits come into play here? Because there's still 5 minutes left, and Glover, his previous stints have been 22 and 23 laps, and he's on lap 22 right now.
But we've seen drivers go 26, and 4 laps is enough to take him to the end of the race, I believe. So
surely he wasn't pitting early just because maybe.
But he wouldn't even I would think that, but then you wouldn't. It's not possible to be 4 laps better than somebody else as far as fuel saving. Like you could do like 1, like maybe 2, but like I don't think if Paletti's able to get 4 more laps than Glover, then Paletti found some sort of cheat. He's pouring fuel. Oh man, pouring fuel in the car. It looked like in F1 when Mark Webber hit the drain grate. Oh, John Kelly. Oh.
Andrew Neri.
Glover went wide in the corner after the kink, and Kelly just wasn't able to get through. There wasn't a gap for him to get by, but Glover did make that mistake. This might frazzle him a little bit.
Oh wow, they are close.
Oh, you can't go there. He pulled out. He pulled out for a second. You could try here. We've seen Marcus Osborne make a move right here. Well defended by Glover, keeping the inside. Didn't leave enough for Kelly to make his way by. But again, Kelly's last move, he tried making into the keyhole, coming up to it again.
All he needs is a good run out of turn 1 like this.
Yeah, different line, better line by Kelly. Glover needs to defend the inside. He's not doing it.
He's not going to, but Kelly's not going to go
now.
for it. Oh, whoa. Getting a little too hot to trot now.
Oh, Kelly had to break mid-corner there. But still able to stay pretty close. That's interesting. Didn't take it exactly how he'd want to, but this is close now coming into this. Not close enough, though.
Wow.
Oh,
there it is.
Oh, and the seas parted for him.
John Kelly.
Oh, Glover fighting back.
Oh, it's so close. John Kelly's ahead.
A little bit of collision. A little bit of a collision.
Yeah, little netcode love tap there. John Kelly is ahead and in the lead of this race with 1 minute and 30 seconds to go.
Man, that hurts. Oh, it hurts even more because he wasn't actually, for Glover, he didn't actually have to defend in the corner. Kelly backed out, and Glover just out braking himself, unfortunately.
Where's Glover now?
Oh, Glover spun.
Glover
He spun. I'm not. His tires are gone. There's no reason that the car should have lost it there. It's gonna be a rough last couple laps. That just came out of nowhere. That didn't seem like much of a driver error.
That just seems like 0% tire wear. Oh, that's Dave Ferrara and Paul Skip.
That's some more. That actually gave both of them a black flag, so they both have a drive-through for that right there. But some more netcode there for sure.
Oh yeah. Not definitively Paul Skip's fault, but I feel like they would have hit it anyways.
Yeah, probably. The coming up, I guess let's keep an eye. Terry Kiger Jr. is going down the King now. He probably got the white, so this is probably the last lap.
Most likely.
I forgot to check up on that, but there's so much to look at for the lead of GTDM.
Now we've got 10 seconds remaining in this 100-minute race. Surely
Huge gap, Calgary, yeah.
This is the white flag as Terry Kiger Jr. has a 7-second lead over the rest of his class and the field. In the closing stages, we got a Paul Boyle and a Aaron Claybaugh close to each other, but nothing happening just at the moment.
There's only one more passing zone
So
he's got.
here comes Terry Kiger Jr.
That
to
is
cross the
checkered
finish
flag.
line and take the checkered flag. Back to Paul Boyle and Aaron Claybaugh. Not looking
Here's
like
his
they can
opportunity
be able to do it.
right here if he was close enough, but he's not. Oh, no,
Nah.
I'm sorry. I was getting the turn mixed up.
I don't think it's going to happen for him.
Probably not, but it's coming up. No, he lost some momentum there. Not going to be unhappy finishing fifth, though.
All right.
That's still good points to bring home.
Now that's Christopher Newby almost looking for it at the line. I think he was just short of it.
Wow, 1/10 behind.
Yeah. Thought we had a little more time there now. John Kelly has just a few more corners to go before he takes a win for the GTM class.
I'm trying to figure out how... Did Curry run out of... Was he running out of fuel, potentially? Is that what happened?
I'm not sure.
Or not Curry, Glover. Sorry, Glover. Because
There we
Glover lost the spot to Nürnberger. There was like a 3-second gap.
No, Glover was in the wall, wasn't he?
Well, no, he just spun. And he saved it without losing that much time. He had 3 seconds behind him to Nürnberger. But he actually pit on the last lap. So he must have been running out and had to cross the finish line in the pits.
Very
He
possible.
was short by one. Well, no, I did. I looked at it. She was short by 1 lap on fuel. Short by like a corner.
John
Or
Kelly.
maybe he didn't know the... Yeah, I don't know.
John Kelly wins in GM.
Yeah, great win with having to pit 3 times.
Right. So we are just waiting for the last few people to cross the finish line. Looks like Dave Ferrara is the man that needs to finish this race. Oh, they are available. Alrighty. Our results for the day. In GTD Pro, Terry Calgary Jr. takes his second win in a row from pole position, followed by Nicholas Paletti, Tyler Langenberg, Aaron Claybaugh, Paul Boyle, Marcus Osborne, Don McCloy, Gareth McAllister, Will Borland, Paul Skip, William Alcala, Andrew Nary, Adrian Garcia Vahil, Matthias Akrich, Patrick Ripley, and that's it for GTD Pro.
And your GTD AM results. Winner, John Kelly. First win of the season after podium last season. The race results disappeared. There we go. Zach Nuremberger putting another podium on the season. Richard Curry placing in 3rd place, who that is his first podium of the season. Ryan Glover finishing 4th, and Christopher Newby, James Foreman, Daniel Hingley, Christopher Craig, Jeff McDonald, Michael Della Sala rounding out the top 10, followed by Forrest Sleek on his debut, Donovan Johnston, Dave Ferrara, Daniel Barnett, Stephen Shepard, Mark Dillon Jr., Keith Roycroft, Atticus Middleton, and then there was a couple more.
Well, maybe.
Then Miguel McNamara and Daniel Real.
There we go. All right. That's a wonderful race here at Mid-Ohio. And we're going to take a look at the overall results and see some interviews.
All right, I'm going to start out. We'll start it with our GTDM results, pulling in Richard Curry, 3rd place for GTDM, first podium of the season. Richard, get me in the booth. You hearing me up here, Richard?
Yeah, gotcha.
Well, that is your first podium for the season.
It
At one
is.
point, we're fighting really, really hard with Ryan Glover. How do you feel that race went?
I'm pleased to be on the podium, but I'm disappointed that I made some mistakes and I spun it in turn 4 and lost like 16 seconds. So yeah, pleased with the podium, but disappointed that it wasn't more.
Yeah, it was best result of the season, obviously. Certainly outperformed your previous, and then even your qualifying. Were you happy with where you qualified on the field, or do you think that you should have qualified further up on that?
No, I was happy with my qualifying. I didn't think I'd too much more than that to add to what it did. I was just behind Chris, and yeah, no, I was happy enough with that.
Yeah, you were one of just really a handful of drivers that was able to put in a faster qualifying time than your time in practice. So, certainly the improvement was happening despite a heating up track. Were you experiencing some tire wear issues? Because it seemed like the track did seem to be getting pretty hot.
Yeah, towards the end in the last stint, especially the tires were not in good condition.
And you didn't take tires, correct?
No, I didn't. Now, in saying that, towards at the start of that stint, the tires were fine. The lap times were actually quite good, but towards the end there was a big drop off.
With our next race being Le Mans, certainly a very different track than Mid Ohio. I know a lot of people have done Le Mans, are pretty confident with it. Is that a track that you think that you're going to be able to do well at?
I would hope so. I'm pretty familiar with it. I've raced it a number of times in endurance races and things like that, so I'll be fairly familiar with it. So it just depends what the other guy's pace is like.
Yeah, the experience will definitely help on a long track. But again, congratulations on the first podium of the season, and good luck with hopefully seeing you in the booth again next week.
Let's hope so. Thanks a lot.
Have a good night.
Cheers.
All right, that was Richard Curry, third place finisher for GTDM. Now I'm going to pull in the second place finisher, runner up, Zach Nurnberger. Zach, you get me in the booth?
How are you guys?
Well, we're doing pretty good. It was a hard race to follow, that's for sure. That's another podium for you on the season. Certainly not your first, but this may have been your furthest from the back of the field to the podium. How did you make up so many places from your qualifying slot?
By just keeping it consistent. I actually had 0x the entire race until I had just a lazy corner cut and finished with 1x, so that's disappointing. Then I saw Della Sala go pretty long, and then I realized I only had I was reading 1.95 pit stops, so I knew I could probably try and two stop it. And yeah, I just kept it really consistent and got a little bit of luck with Ryan Glover, who I don't know if you guys knew. I think because Terry was behind him, he didn't technically get the white flags, and he ended up taking a pit stop for fuel. But then Terry passed him, and he got the white and checkered at the same time. So, yeah, just a little bit of luck and just keeping the car in straight.
Yeah, obviously not many drivers were able to keep it straight for the entire race. It wasn't one that became like a track limits issue, but a spin issue was certainly there. I think that we can attribute that a lot to a heating up track. How were your tires looking near the end of that race?
Oh, it's interesting. Everyone had something different. I think Paul Skip had 15% on his second pit stop, and I finished the race with 50. So, um, yeah, just really babying those. I know some people are down to 30, 40s, but I've always been one, as you guys know, to drive better on older tires. I think I set my fastest lap on lap 55, when my fronts were probably in like 70s in that point. But it was just all about, keeping my head straight to the middle sector. It's really bumpy and there's a lot of elevation changes so the car can get loose. So just making sure it's braking straight and just save fuel. And of course, that always helps keeping the car under control when you're not driving as hard as possible.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, you were able to get a well earned podium through, the like you said, those intrinsics that go beyond just driving fast. So taking care of the car was, both damage and tires was important for this one. But next week, quite a different track. We got Le Mans, obviously not a big real tire burner. Um, do you feel that you'll still be able to carry over a really strong season through Le Mans at that track?
Uh, I mean, I would hope so, but I think statistically, Le Mans is probably my unluckiest track. I love Le Mans. I'm decent at it. Nothing wrong with it, but just every single league race, something seems to happen there. And Nami, if he's listening, will understand that very well when I had my headlights in his face, the last one. So, um, I'm looking forward to it, but if history is anything to go by, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, currently fourth place. I can't off the top of my head. I think you'll still be fourth after this race, but certainly closing up on second or third, which are very close. So good luck on keeping a strong season going, and hope to see you in the booth again.
You too.
Have a
Thank
good
you,
night,
guys.
man. That was our second place for GTDM, Zachary Nurnberger. Now going to pull in our race winner, John Kelly. John, get me in the booth.
Hey, man, how are y'all doing?
We're doing great. It was an exciting race to watch. We don't understand exactly how you were there at the front with 3 pit stops. So explain for us, was that first pit stop after those 8 laps, was that a planned splash and dash?
Well, the strategy kind of went awry. I started from the pits. There were a couple of guys that were in that back bunch of 8 or 9 cars that were really slow in 1 or 2 places on the track, and everybody was almost trying to avoid hitting them in those places, and it was really slow. I was probably a second and a half off pace, and then one of them got sideways going into the keyhole, and everybody checked up, and I bumped. I don't remember who it was in front of me. just, I mean, I didn't even feel it, but boom, 4x, and then I figured I might have some damage, so I calculated you couldn't do it in 2 stops, but it would have been close, and so I just went ahead and pitted, took a fast repair to make sure I got all the stuff fixed, and then I was in clear track and could run, mid to low 22s basically for 20, 25 minutes, so everybody else had to pit, and then it just kind of worked out from there, I guess. It was very difficult to pass because the braking distances aren't that long on this track, and somebody basically has to make a mistake on the exit of the previous corner for you to get by, and I guess there at the end with Ryan going into the China Beach, he got kind of sideways turning in. I was able to get underneath him around the outside. I guess we bumped it in the middle of all that, but the only thing I knew was I saw the message that I got another 4X for something I didn't feel there either. So, but there again, I had no idea where I was. I figured if I was in the top 10 and couldn't see another amateur, I'd probably doing okay. But it was a fun race. I mean, I'm tired. It was fun.
Yeah, we couldn't keep our eyes off that battle that you had at the end. You certainly caught up fast, but it took you a good few laps before you were able to finally get through. Like what was running through your head when you were stuck behind him for those 4, 5, 6 laps or so?
Well, I was just showing him the nose and worrying him a little bit, hoping he'd make a mistake and make it easy, and wondered if he had to pit again, and the last 2 laps, if he didn't pit, it would have been a little bit more aggressive. But there again, it was hard to get a place because he was pretty much in the middle of the road going into Keyhole. So you can't. It wasn't. There aren't 3 lanes there. So it probably would have come down to going around the outside in China Beach, which if you plan for it, is an easy place to pass, as long as they don't, run into you in the next corner. And you can also kind of go around if you get a good run in the last couple of corners going into Carousel. You can go around the outside of there, and then it's hard for them to get the power down if they can't use all the track on the left. So, and that's really the only place you can get by, and you just got to be really lucky to do that. So, like I said, he unfortunately for him, he kind of made a little bit of a mistake, and I was a little bit faster than him through that section anyway. So, it was pretty easy, undercut to get through there, and it doesn't matter where you drive on that hump. You can go inside, outside, doesn't matter, and you're on the inside for the next corner. So you're pretty much, if you get hung out on the left going through there, you're kind of screwed. So, but it was a fun race, and like I said, it was a big surprise. Zach, are you guys signed in to the session?
Yes.
It would be a big help for us amateurs is after everybody makes their first and second pit stops, if you could just on the chat in the real session tell us who's in the top 3 in the amateur, that would be a big help.
I could see if I could work that.
Because we have no idea if we're who we're racing with or whatever. And after everybody makes their first stop, and by that time it's pretty well cleaned out of all the first stint crashes and stuff. So it would help to know if the guys ahead of me had misfortune, and whether I needed to push or take it easy or whatever. But basically it was the same strategy I always have for endurance races. Just I figured mid to low 22s I could do without killing the tires and not using too much fuel, and that's kind of that was kind of the strategy. And the only time I was pretty much above that was when I was getting held up somewhere during the lap. So, but no real scares other than two little taps. So thanks you guys for broadcasting.
Yeah, it's a great win, well deserved. Fourth unique winner for GTDM, and hopefully you can keep that strong momentum going through to Le Mans next week. So you have a good night, man.
All right, thanks, man.
All right, that was our race winner for GTDM, John Kelly. Now I'm going to bring in third place for GTD Pro, Tyler Langenberg. Tyler, you getting me in the booth?
Hello.
Well, that was certainly an eventful race. One where, run us through at the start of the race, you had lost a couple positions early. How did you get back in the, was that just playing it safe for the tires, or was that something you had to kind of recover from to make it up to your final third position?
To that, I'll just answer yes. Like, the whole first two stints, I basically saved fuel and then tried my best to save tires throughout that stint, and then just go balls out in the the third stint. So like, if you save like 2 laps, you would be able to make it to the end easy on the last stop. So yeah.
Did you at any point consider taking tires? Some of the drivers in the field certainly did, some even more than once.
Given my left front at 11%, I probably should have.
Wow.
So, in hindsight, yeah, I would have, but I would have also lost that same amount of time to Nick. But either way, it was a fun race, fun strategy race. I didn't really expect it before today, but fuel race.
Yeah, it certainly not an easy track. But yeah, you were one of the drivers that was able to stretch it to just that 2 stop, and clearly gave you a podium through that. Was there at any point that you were kind of doubting you'd be able to make that? I assume that you kind of committed to that strategy early.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, like I said, you had to be committed to it to do it. Or I don't think I think Terry told me that he didn't know until uh De La Sala went 2 laps longer than everyone else did, which is surprising.
Wow.
So all you had to do really was save like 1 lap over one stint, because I still had 1 lap extra right at the end. So yeah.
Yeah, it was certainly one that was kind of all over the place, especially up here in the booth. Next week, Le Mans, almost nothing really that similar to this track. Is that one that you feel that you'll put in another strong performance in?
Oh yeah.
Well, good luck with keeping that up. You're currently in second place. Yeah, you'll still be second place after this race. So certainly a strong season for you. Once those drops come in, we'll see where that all shakes out to. But vying for first place in the championship, and hope to see you in the booth again next week.
All right. I'll see y'all.
You have a good night. All right, that was our third place finisher, Tyler Langenberg. Now going to bring in second place finisher, Nicholas Paletti. Nick, you get me in the booth?
I gotcha.
Well, that was, as is usually on brand, an extremely clean race. You and Terry both with 0x on that.
Oh, he got 0-2. Dang.
Yes, I'm sorry to inform you of that. But most drivers were struggling to keep it going straight. So, how are you able to do that, especially so late into the race when I assume your tires were in a pretty rough state?
Mhm. Yeah, I think first lap in testing, I just decided that if I was going to push, I was going to spin. So, I was almost treating the car like a open wheel car or something that didn't have traction control, because as soon as you got on the throttle a little too much through some of the elevation changes, the rear's just gone. Or you're losing time going down the straight because you were a little squirrely. So, I was half throttle through pretty much the whole the whole windy bits and the through turn 6 and 9. So once you can keep control of the car, I think the tires come with it because you're not pushing as hard. So yeah, the track was a lot of fun, but definitely sketch at times.
It certainly seemed like early, really early, or maybe even before the race, you had already committed to, that serious fuel conservation strategy that you did. How did you manage to take it 26 laps on the first stint when like, really no one else was able to?
And the funny thing is, I didn't even think I was saving fuel, and then I realized after the first stop, I looked down at my numbers. I'm like, crap, I can make this in one more stop. And I think we all in the team, we started looking at that, and we had no idea it was going to be a two stop until after that first stop, seeing how far we could go with it. I think just because of the nature of the track, since you're really not at high gears that much, and because I was lifting a lot just to keep the car from spinning out, I think that's just kind of fuel saving when you're not even knowing you're fuel saving.
Hey, I mean, certainly the skill of just natural, fuel conservation and tire conservation was important to this. I do have to wonder what was going through your head. Um, I think it was the second to last lap. You were in the S's, and there was an incident that a car got spun right in front of you. Were you worried that that was about to be the end of your race? It was lap 71. It looks like.
Yeah, well, because I saw Paul come out of the pit, and I was behind him a little bit, pushing him, but then the kind of the racer brain goes away, and you start to think about it, and I'm like, yeah, he probably has fresh tires. There's no reason to push him. I'm just gonna back off, and sure enough, you see the incident ahead, and I gave myself enough of a gap to kind of maneuver my way through it. So it was, I mean, if I was following him closer, I probably would have been involved in that. But at that point in the race, I had no pressure behind. I wasn't going to get anywhere near Terry. So it's like, just back off, let him fight and keep it clean.
Yeah, again, you've put in an extremely consistent season. A lot of like top fives, top sixes. Only your second podium so far, but I mean, when you're first place and you're putting in, results like these, it's putting in a pretty strong season. But now you've got some stronger results lately. Le Mans not really similar at all to this track. But do you feel that you're going to have another strong performance next week at Le Mans?
Man, it all depends. I mean, the field's just so competitive right now. I mean, shout out to my team. We got with Paul and Aaron, we got all of us into the top five, and I think any week you go out, it's just all these guys are so competitive. So when you're going into a new track, especially well, not a new track, but another track, especially like Le Mans, where mostly straight, open qualifying, lots of towing, teamwork, fuel saving. I mean, I have no idea where I'm gonna end up. I've been aiming for top fives, so we'll go out, qualify, and then see what happens after that.
Well, we will be keeping an eye on that team strategy in next week's qualifying because I imagine that it certainly will play a benefit. So, good luck. Hope to see you in the booth again next week, and you have a great night.
Yeah, I hope we can give you a few laughs as we completely bungled the towing strategy. You guys have a
Absolutely.
good night.
That was our second place finisher, Nick Spletti. Gonna bring in our five. No, let me see the number of wins. That is our. Is this a four-time winner, Terry Kiger Jr. Terry, getting me in the booth.
I gotcha.
That's your fourth win now through the first 8 weeks. Can't be unhappy with that. How were your tires looking near the end of that race?
They were getting pretty bad. They were in the 30s. I was kind of going back and forth on whether or not I wanted to take tires or not, and I did accidentally take the right front tire, but it didn't really feel like it helped the car too much. I mean, it probably did more than I realized, but they were pretty shot.
You got a 0x for this race, which is one of the only handful of times it's even been done this season between both classes. Not the track that I would expect many drivers to be able to do that. What was your strategy to be able to get through 100 minutes here without getting a single off track in like turn one or something like that?
To be honest, I wasn't even thinking about it. I was just trying to stretch out a little gap while saving tires all at the same time, if that's possible. Um, but yeah, that I quit thinking about the incident points a while ago because every time I think about it and worry about it, they get more and more. You wind up messing up more than anything else. So I try not to even think about it, to be honest.
I have to wonder, was all of the best performing cars in GTD Pro were able to do a two stop? Was that something that was a conscious decision going in, or did you just naturally have a driving style that saved that fuel?
To be honest, it must be my driving style a little bit. I mean, I know Tyler and Paletti were able to go a lap farther than I was on on the pit stops, but I really didn't try saving any fuel till right after the last pit stop, just to make it to the end. Um, so yeah, I really don't know what else to say about that one. Um, I don't normally try to save fuel, to be honest.
Yeah, it was an interesting one to be able to do a two stop when almost every race so far has been a three. But again, another win you got in the bank for the season. Really, no missteps for this one. Next week, Le Mans couldn't really be much of a more different track than this one. You've shown success at many different types of tracks. Is that another one that you think that you'll be able to do well at?
I think so. Um, I normally race pretty well there. Just I always have something stupid happen, whether it be a slow passenger spin or
I remember,
just
didn't wasn't there a pit that like pit entry penalty? I think
yes.
on yeah, I remember
Yep,
that one.
yep, yep. There's that. There was oh, I can't find my pit stall the last season of GTD. So
Yep.
it's always something stupid. So hopefully I can put that behind me next week and put a
I'll do my
complete
best to
race.
not curse you from the commentator's booth.
If you do, it's okay because it's probably me anyway. So
Well, again, great race, great win. Good luck with next week. Hope to see you in the booth again, and you have a great night.
all right, thanks you too.
That was Terry Kyrie Jr., race winner 4 times. Well, Tom, that was a pretty good race. Hard to hard to keep track of how much what was going on. Tom, I think you have yourself muted. He's back.
There we go. All right, so a wonderful race tonight here, and I think we'll see some more in just about a week's time.
Looking forward to it.
All right, good night, everybody.